So you've probably figured out from the configuration of the room that we're gonna do a stations activity today. So if you could, take your bags and stuff and just kind of put them to the side. What you're gonna need is your Chromebook. And then if you would take that paper copy of the playlist, and you're gonna get all of this digitally in a second. But just so that we can go over and make sure everybody is clear on what they've got to do. So please make sure that you have submitted your semester 2 portfolio in the bin. If you have your Brave New World book, you can get rid of that. Just since we're so close to the end here, I want to make sure that we tie up all these loose ends, all right? So make sure you do that. Today we're going to progress through a playlist of activities around the poetry for Blake and Burns. So I'm going to go over what that's going to entail. And just keep in mind that you're working on the pledge for the 20th. So we do have another class between now and then. But we'll be doing some other activities, and then on the 20th is when your presentation is for the pledge. Okay, does that sound good? So far, so good? All right, so if you would grab the paper copy of the playlist and just meet me up here for a hug. Come on up, since we're so small, we're too far away. Today, we've got so many people testing. So take a look at the playlist. Bring it in, it's a hug. All right, so take a look at the playlist, and you can see there are several objectives as far as learning objectives for today, right? You can read them there, but I really want you to focus on what is Blake's poetry doing and saying, what is Burns saying about his topics, and see if you can make some connections to the Romantic age. All right, so we've read some other poets. This is to continue that work, but also to see the unique qualities of Blake and Burns. So there's several stations around the room. You've done stations activities before, so you're going to progress through. You've got a copy that I gave you in assignments in Google Classroom that you can use to kind of keep track of where you're at, since you've got several different short, I would say smaller activities that build on each other to complete today. Okay? So it says here, to progress through several stations, choose where you'd like to begin. It really does not matter. Where you would like to begin is up to you. You don't have to progress from the top to the bottom. You'll see there's a front and a back, actually. You'll move through the stations at your own pace, and once you've completed one, you don't have to wait. You just move to the next one. Okay? I would say, as you're going, to keep yourself accountable, just highlight or do some type of system on your own copy of the digital doc to keep track of where you are, so that you don't forget to do something, since there are several smaller activities and not just 2 or 3 bigger ones. To keep track, I would highlight when you're finished, just highlight it in green so you know you're good. I would say try to avoid stations overcrowded. That's not going to be a big problem today. You need your Chromebook at some stations, and then I will be over here at Muddiest Point. So this station over here is where you can come if you want to chat about the poetry before you do any of the different stations, or if you want to try the stations, a couple different things, and then do Muddiest Point. It's up to you. All right, so I would just point out in that back where Mr. Marm is sitting right now, there are headphones if you need a set of headphones. Plug into your Chromebook and listen to 2 versions by folk artist Greg Brown of poems by Blake. Okay, and you're just going to open up the whole class response doc and leave a comment about what you heard. It's real straightforward. You don't have to do a big analysis. You're just going to listen, hear the contrast between innocence and experience, and then leave a comment that you'll be able to see each other's comments. With that idea of innocence and experience, you have another station over here. There are some paper copies, but you also have the digital Venn comparison chart, where you're going to look at Blake's poetry and think about if there's any crossover between those 2 states of being. Innocence and what you associate with that, experience, what you associate with that, and then if there's anything in between. Okay? On the back side, if you look, there's a Muddiest Point station. Usually that's great if you have any clarification needs. There's a Google Forms station over here, so you can take your quiz Google Forms, or I did put a few paper copies there if you'd rather just take it on paper. That's available to you, and that's in the back table over here. In that back corner where Clara was sitting, there's an opportunity for you to help contribute to a billboard that we're going to make for younger underclassmen, called Dear Younger Me. So you're going to write a piece of advice to yourself, but really you're going to end up saying it to the underclassmen. So they'll make a big billboard like words of advice, words of wisdom from the class of 2019. So I put a sample that I wrote for myself if I were looking back on my high school years. So I put it over there, so you can just make the sentence strip and go on from there. And then kind of a cool, different risk, I've never done this one before. There's in the back corner, you can work with some friends on many of these stations, you can work collaboratively or independently. It's an emoji retail, so it sounds kind of silly, but when you think about it, like that emoji language that has developed through texting and through our modern way of communicating has really taken off to a whole nother nuanced language. So I'm gonna ask you to use some emoji websites. So I've got 3 of them listed here, and do a retail. So I've got a sample and all the directions there, but you're basically gonna take like red rose. I'm looking at your shirt, definitely, you've got the rose on there.
Yeah.
And you're gonna retell it using some emojis, or maybe another one of the romantic short poems that you can choose. So you have a lot of choice. All right? So you've got everything here, but again, you've got a digital doc in Google Classroom. So if you just open it up, it's your copy that you can highlight, or you can use the paper if that's preferable. But so many of these things, you have the links built right into the digital doc, so I would recommend that you use that. That's the goal, because a lot of them are shorter, so we'll see how we do for time, and we'll be flexible with that. If we need to continue it next time, we can always do that. And I would also mention there's an enrichment opportunity over here, where if you progress through all of them and you want the enrichment opportunity, extra credit, you can do that as well. Okay? So, have you decided where you want to start? Remember, the station back here is the emoji. You've got the sentence strip. You've got Muddiest Point. Over here, you've got the comparison, event comparison. Where Mr. Marm is sitting, you can listen to the poetry.
Where I'll come through.
You're gonna work together. You just gotta figure out where you would like to start, and if you need any clarification on anything. I already have a room. Have some customers at Muddiest Point. Good. Good. So feel free to help yourself to a free set of headphones if you don't have any headphones with you today. Where are you gonna start, Lauren? Probably the quiz. Probably the quiz? Okay. All right.
I can see this
Good?
shift day, but Miss Sakosha and Miss Honker all have something to say this morning. Yeah, she's the homie. She's cool.
All right, so this, just make sure it makes sense. I tried to use a poem that old that sign is that song we sing on New Year's Eve, you know, that should old acquaintance be.
It's just compared
That was written by Robert Burns. So I tried to use just the beginning of that since people would be familiar. And
I don't know what
listed everything there. You gotta figure out what poem you like, so if you wanted to do Red Rose, or I was trying to pick a short one. You're retelling with emojis.
Okay.
Where do we put it?
So you're gonna do it digitally.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna need to do it digitally, because there are so many emoji websites that you're gonna need to pull from.
Okay. Great.
Do you like this one?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's, these sites get emoji, Slack emojis, these are really, Giphy.com, these are really good for finding different images, because you can search by topic, so if you've been in love, it would bring up all the emojis that's related to that. So it's fun, it's a fun thing, it's a creative thing. So if you want to do one together, you can collaborate together. So you can make one document, like to the sample. Okay?
Sounds good.
So just let me know. Does it make sense though?
Oh, yeah, no,
If it's clear what you have to do?
Yeah,
So you're kind of translating it into emoji text.
I like it. This is sick.
But the concepts really come alive as you do this. You'll be surprised, I
Do we do
think.
it on a document?
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I'm about to share something.
He's gonna
right
make the Google Doc. So have you seen some of these emoji sites before?
I haven't seen emoji site, but most of these emojis look familiar.
So if you wanted like the alien guy, you would just highlight it and then copy it and then hit
Oh, I
copy,
found- okay.
and then you paste it in. That's
Okay.
how you grab them from that site.
Alright.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some of the others, like you can click and download the. So I didn't know what to do for acquaintance, but these guys look kind of like acquaintancy. Right? And never brought to mind, they put a brain. Old, I put the old guy. So I was trying to do keywords there. Surely you'll buy your pint. So you can see how it worked there in the sample. Mr. Marm's here too, so he can probably help with the emojis if you're not sure about the websites. All right, but decide which poem you want to do too.
I like the
Pick
red
a
rose.
shorter one, and then what is it like to be experienced? And is one state of being preferable than the other?
Wait, let me go under.
So far, does that sound familiar? The innocence and experience. So he writes a whole collection of poems about songs of innocence. Then he writes a whole collection about songs of experience. And the trick is to try to figure out if they have anything in common. So in one of the other stations, you actually will do a Venn comparison where you're thinking about what does he say is unique to innocence, what is unique to experience. So if you just look at the songs of innocence there, just look at the introduction. Look at some of the words. Do you see any words that have like a negative or dark connotation?
You see wept, but then he follows it up with joy.
Wept with joy, right? So that's kind of, but definitely wept would be a word. This one's kind of aggressive too.
Yeah.
How about plucked?
I was looking right at these two lines.
Plucked or stained, but it's a paradox there because he stains the water clear. Like how do you stain something clear? It's kind of odd, right? But for the most part, it's very positive images, right? Child, laughing, land, merry, cheer, happy, pipe, right? Look, just go through and you see all of these like positive words, right? Childlike words. So he says, I wrote my happy songs every child may joy to hear. So that's what innocence is, childlike, right? Those younger moments. Think back to your own childhood, if you're lucky. It's full of innocence when you believed in certain, you were probably a weird child. But was there magic? Was there like belief in things that are not scientifically proven, or were you always empirical?
No, I believe in Santa.
You believed in Santa, and then you were crushed when you found out.
Santa.
So who's the speaker of Songs of Innocence? Like, because you'll use the same speaker to tell the poems of all of those poems about innocence.
It's a piper, right?
A piper, right? And the image he evokes is of the lamb, which I'm not sure how familiar you are, but that definitely has a Christian
The
connotation.
footnote helps.
Right, and the footnote helps. So, pipe the song about the lamb, so there's a Christian element there, right? So then when we just turn the page and you look at the lamb, right, the poem The Lamb, right? He's asking the lamb, like, who made it, right? Who made it? Hi, Jake.
Hi.
Good to see ya.
Good to see you.
So he's asking the lamb, you know, who made thee? And then he goes through this, he says, I'll tell you. And that's a very, if you've had any Christian experience, right, that's like, who made you? And then the answer is like very rote when you're little. Who made you? God made you. You know, like that kind of thing. And then he says, little lamb, I'll tell you. He's called by name. He calls himself the lamb. So there's the Christian.
So right now we're completing a graphic organizer where we're comparing and contrasting two poems by Boyle.
So then the introduction.
Okay, so we're doing a poem, a romantic poetry retell. So what we're doing is we're choosing a poem out of these two and then rewriting it with emojis. So we have this website and we're choosing emojis and filling it in. So like the first sentence of mine is, to love the seas getting dry, my dear. I put to love the waves because the sea. And then getting dry like the desert, my dear. And then now I'm on my following sentence.
So I took the first one, so it's, the poem is Burns as a red, red rose. So a lot of mine, I just used the little red dot emojis to cover the word red. Then from there, I've just actually been typing in the different words in the emoji website to see what comes up. But all in all, I like this. It's a little different, something new, and it's a good way to start off this Tuesday morning.